Hello, my Fly Mickey friends, and welcome to the latest tips, tricks, and travel news update from the world of Disney. And on this week's episode, we find out what the Big C means in Cinderella Castle Suite at the Magic Kingdom. We'll go cruising where no Disney cruise has ever gone before. And we sadly say goodbye to another legendary Disney animator. Now, before we take a look at this week's news, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, give this video a like, and click that bell icon to stay in the know about all things Disney. First up, Walt Disney World just gave fans a sneak peek into one of the most exclusive areas of its Orlando theme park last week. If you're a fan of the Disney Parks TikTok account, you will have seen them share an exclusive video tour of the Cinderella Castle Suite that's found in the castle at the Magic Kingdom. The clip is narrated by an unnamed Disney cast member who details all of the elements inside the hotel suite that's so rarely seen by the general public. The tour begins inside the royal bedchamber, where there are two huge beds with the letter C hanging above them. According to the narrator, the C actually stands for Prince Charming. After all, it was his first place, the narrator tells us in the clip. Across from the beds is a fireplace where you'll find a beautiful portrait of Cinderella hanging, and in another part of the suite, a mirror that magically plays the animated movie classic. And throughout the suite, the stained glass windows also tells that famous story, window by window. The narrator then shows off the royal bathroom, which has a double vanity made of two copper wash basins. And according to the host, this is to remind Cinderella of her more humble days. However, if you look above the sinks, there are two chandeliers that look very much like Cinderella's crown, a slightly less humble symbol. And finally, the virtual tour shows us the bathtub, which is surrounded by three mosaics made up of 10,000 pieces each. And of course, a look at the royal throne. Since it was posted online on Friday, the clip has been viewed more than 3.5 million times. But if you're hoping to book a stay at this luxury suite yourself, unfortunately you won't be able to. It's only available to invited guests and contest winners. Now check out these cool photos coming out of the Walt Disney World Resort. Last week, President Jeff Vail and Parks and Resorts Chairman Josh D'Amaro gave us a tour of the rooms from the upcoming Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel and have shared some photos of a walkthrough on Vail's Instagram account. He posted, "Josh D'Amaro and I enjoyed a sneak peek into the great progress the Walt Disney Imagineering teams are making on Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser here at WDW. Inside, we visited the atrium and looked out of the bridge windows to what will be a galaxy far, far away. We even checked out the cabins in progress, including their windows to the space scene in these renderings. Rooms will come in two sizes, a regular-sized cabin and a larger captain's quarters type cabin. And each floor is set to have 32 regular cabins and 2 first-class cabins. And for a more in-depth look at the new Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser Hotel, head over to flymickey.co.uk and click Latest News. Now, this week we saw shocking headlines like Disneyland killed its annual pass program. And although this may seem rather dramatic for theme park news, the revelation has come completely out of the left field. The Disneyland Annual Pass debuted in California back in 1984 and was sold for just $65, although things were a lot different then. Splash Mountain didn't exist, and neither did Star Tours. Plus, the park was also closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, except during the summer. Can you imagine that? Some 37 years later, and the annual pass program has become more expanded, modified and adjusted repeatedly, with various tiers and blockout days being added as the attendance at the park soared. But then this week, it abruptly ended. 10 months after Disneyland and the adjacent Disney California Adventure parks closed because of the still raging COVID-19 pandemic, Disney pulled the plug on the famous program. with executives promising that there will be alternative offerings in the future, but have yet to outline what these will specifically be. So in the meantime, what will happen to the people who have or had an annual pass? Well, people who paid for the annual pass that lasted beyond the park's closures in March are due to receive an automatic refund for the days that the parks were shut. Holders of passes that were activated after the parks closed will continue to receive food and beverage discounts at the downtown Disney restaurants and shopping district and at California Adventure's Buena Vista Street. In addition, current pass holders will get a 30% discount on selected merchandise from certain stores on Mondays through Thursdays until February the 25th. Although Disney has never released actual attendance figures, a report by an engineering firm estimates that in 2019 alone, Disneyland and Disney California Adventure Park had a combined total of 28.4 million visitors, with the number of people who had annual passes using the parks believed to be hovering at around only 1 million. The annual pass program was likely profitable, but pass holders have tended to be Southern California residents who visited quite frequently, as often as weekly or even daily, and spend a lot less per visit on food and souvenirs than your general tourist does. Ending the annual pass program now lets Disney executives revamp its offerings to boost its profits, with one theme park expert predicting that Disney's future programs will continue to rely on dynamic pricing to offer an incentive for locals to visit on those more slower days, thus spreading the crowds more evenly throughout the year. Currently, the parks still remain closed, with no foreseeable reopening date announcement coming in the near future. Let us know your thoughts on the removal of the APs in the comments below. Now, as if Disney parks aren't already the most magical places on Earth, have you ever wondered what it would be like to be at a Disney park when it snows? Well, guests visiting Disneyland Paris sometimes get the chance to know what this is like. But sadly, this year, when the snow fell, the closest guests could get was to the closed barriers at the front of the resort. This video, shot on Friday by Facebook page Disneyland Paris fans, showed the first flutterings of snowflakes falling on the park where dreams come true. And no, it's not Elsa's fault this time. In fact, Disneyland Paris is actually one of only 2 Disney parks around the world north enough of the equator to get real snow, aside from the fake snow they use on Main Street USA during Christmas seasons. The snow-covered Disneyland Park is truly a sight to behold. There are some realities that have to be taken into account. Most of the outdoor sections of the park can essentially be shut down. Parades are usually then cancelled, and some outdoor rides are closed, with most meet and greets postponed or moved to more indoor areas. So it is important to remember that when visiting Disneyland Paris in the winter months, to plan for a different experience, which requires a different level of expectations. But the trade-off is that you will get to see a sight that very few Disney fanatics around the world will ever get to see: a truly magical destination covered in snow. The most recent heavy snowfall at DLP was back on the 22nd of January 2019. But for you Disney history buffs, Tokyo Disneyland was in fact the first Disney park worldwide to ever receive real snowfall back in 1983. Now, it's been a solid 12 months since the last Disney cruise ship docked and the last passengers left their voyages behind. And although the seas back to normality have been rather rough for the cruise line industry, Disney is still offering us hope for more adventures on the high seas. Namely, this week, the announcement of a new partnership with French cruise line Ponant and planned luxury expedition cruises to the Antarctic. The 12-day, 11-night journey starts with a night at Sofitel Buenos Aires and a flight to Ushuaia, the world's southernmost city and the gateway to Patagonia. The itinerary includes time to explore Tierra del Fuego National Park, a stop at the End of the World Post Office, and a catamaran ride through the Beagle Channel, named after the boat Charles Darwin used to explore the area back in 1833. Passengers will also have a chance to cross the Drake Passage, one of the most challenging crosses a ship can ever make. They'll also get to kayak at the end of the earth and frolic with penguins and whales in a place that very few get to experience. Prices are expected to start from around $9,200 for an adult and around $8,300 for a child, including meals on the ship's 2 onboard restaurants. But it is to note that children under 10 will not be permitted on these cruises for insurance reasons. Disney is currently planning for 2 departures of this brand new cruise, one on December the 20th this year and another on January the 30th in 2022, and it plans to open up bookings to the general public later this month. And finally, we say goodbye to Walt Disney Studios' legendary animator Dale Baer, who sadly passed away on Friday at the young age of 70. Baer had been a character animator for the company since the 1970s. In fact, his first project back in '73 was one of my personal favourites, Robin Hood, which he worked on as an in-betweener. That's the person who decides how animated characters will move when they're transitioning between major key movement scenes. He was trained by members of the 9 Old Men, namely John Lounsbury and Eric Larson, and continued to be active in the animation department of the Walt Disney Company throughout the rest of the 70s and the 80s, working on the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, The Rescuers, and The Black Cauldron. In the mid-1980s, he and his then-wife opened up their own studio, suitably called the Baer Animation Company, where he and his artists did freelance work for both Disney and other animation studios, such as animating the classics Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King. Over his career, he won several awards, including the Annie Award in 2001 and most recently the Winsor McKay Award in 2016. His last project was Bob's Burger, the movie, which is scheduled to be released later in 2021. And that's it for this week's Tips, Tricks and Travel News Update. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at FlyMickeyTravel so you'll never miss out on the magic moments from the world of Disney. And all that's left to say is have a fantastic, magical day.